Hi guys, Giju64 here, and today I'm going to be talking about something a little different, something I don't talk about much on this channel, and that's Star Trek. Mainly I cover Game of Thrones and Star Wars, but I cover all kinds of pop culture things, movies and TV shows. What people might not know is that Star Trek Next Generation is one of my favorite shows of all time. Like, no contest. Top 5. So there was some news that broke out today, which will probably be yesterday for you guys when I get this video up, about what the Picard series is going to be. Now, I was really looking forward to this Picard show. I think Patrick Stewart is an amazing actor. Captain Picard, out of all of the Star Trek characters, is my favorite. He's so interesting. And Star Trek has always been about smart sci-fi. So I was hoping that with Star Trek Picard, we would be getting back to the next generation, how they viewed the world. With Star Trek Discovery, it's not even a Star Trek show. Whether it's good or not, if you enjoy it, that's fine. But objectively, it's not a Star Trek show. All of the things that make Star Trek are not in that show. I don't like Star Trek Discovery. I think it's terrible. I think it breaks the fundamentals of what a Star Trek show should be and what Star Trek is. Star Trek is about a crew of people. Star Trek Discovery doesn't focus on a crew of people. It focuses on one person. There are other characters, but most of them all hate each other. They don't really get along, and they don't get much screen time, and you probably don't remember most of their names. And so Star Trek Discovery just isn't Star Trek. It's dark, it's drab. There's not exploring going on. It's just standard, boring sci-fi. Star Trek is smart sci-fi. It always has been. It's about smart writing and tackling current day issues and individual episodes, but they're reflected in the planets and the societies and the situations that the ship and the crew find themselves in. So I'll get more into what Star Trek is here in a second, because you'll understand why I'm talking about this. Alex Kurtzman is the one heading up this Star Trek revival, if you want to call it. It's putting it in the grave is basically what it's doing. But he headed up Star Trek Discovery, and as I said, that hasn't been good, and he was heading up Picard. However, I still had hope for Picard because Patrick Stewart came back, which to me told me that there was something of quality in here, and I'll get to that in a second as well. But Alex Kurtzman, for people who don't know, this is the guy who basically headed up Amazing Spider-Man. You know, the two terrible movies that came out. That was ruined. And then he tried to create the Dark Universe with the Universal Monsters with the Mummy, and then that was terrible. So in Hollywood, I guess if you do a bunch of terrible stuff, you still get jobs. And I don't understand that. But regardless, as I said, I thought, hey, Patrick Stewart's involved in this. It doesn't matter. Star Trek Discovery is terrible, and it doesn't matter that Alex Kurtzman's involved. Patrick Stewart's back. We could have a shot here of some quality. The writers on the Picard show are different than the ones on Discovery, so I was like, okay, let's see what happens. So I don't want to misquote what was said, but there was an interview with Variety that Patrick Stewart had, and there were some very interesting things in the article. It wasn't just about Star Trek, but Star Trek was a big focus as Picard is coming out here in the next few months. And so I want to go ahead and just give you a direct quotes from what is covered in that article. I think what we're trying to say is important. The world of Next Generation doesn't exist anymore. It's different. Nothing is really safe. Nothing is really secure. The thing with Star Trek is if you change certain aspects of Star Trek, it's no longer Star Trek anymore. There's, like I said, the crew, as I said before, that's an important piece. It's about a group of characters working together. The Federation is about worlds coming together to work together, even though they all have completely different outlooks on life and completely different societal norms. They still get along together. Starfleet has a moral center. There's an actual reasoning for the things that they do. They're not a military organization as much as they are an exploratory organization. They are there to explore. That's the whole point of Starfleet. That's the point of Star Trek. What this is a rundown of what the synopsis for the Picard series is going to be. Picard finds its hero living in near isolation on a very uncosmic French vineyard. He's retired and estranged from Starfleet, the interstellar navy to which he devoted most of his life. He's haunted by a pair of catastrophes, one personal, the other societal. The death of his android colleague, Lieutenant Commander Data, in the movie Nemesis, and a refugee crisis spawned by the destruction of the planet Romulus, as seen in Abrams' Star Trek film. When those two seemingly different strands of his life cross, Picard returns to action, this time without the backing of Starfleet, whose moral center has shifted. A little bit of grammar issues there, but okay. So this setup is fine. It ties in the Kelvin timeline, the J.J. Abrams movies, which I think are hit or miss. They weren't fundamentally Star Trek, but they didn't destroy Star Trek. The first movie I thought was fun, and it was very accessible to people who were not Star Trek fans. So I thought the first movie was good, and I even read the Countdown comic. There was a comic that came down that explained what happened to Romulus, and I thought that's where they were going with this show. And in that comic, Data's alive. He's a captain in that comic. So if they're maintaining the destruction of Romulus, but I guess they're just going to throw out the continuity of that comic, which has been continuity, but I guess they just forgot about it. So it's not continuity anymore. One other section I really want to read here is this. In a way, the world of Next Generation has been too perfect and too protected, Patrick Stewart says. It was the Enterprise. It was a safe world of respect and communication and care and sometimes fun. In Picard, the Federation, a union of planets bonded by shared democratic values, has taken an isolationist turn. The new show, Stewart says, was me responding to the world of Brexit and Trump and feeling, why hasn't the Federation changed? Why hasn't Starfleet changed? Maybe they're not as reliable and trustworthy as we all thought. So this is part of everything that's been seeping into pop culture, and it's not stuff I like to talk about, but real world politics and outlook on life should not fundamentally change how a fictional universe functions. You can tackle ideas and concerns that you have within the context of the show, which they've always done. They've tackled all kinds of things that were extremely progressive in Star Trek Next Generation. If you go back and watch some specific episodes, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But they did it in a way that wasn't hammer-fisted. They did it in a subtle way. They did it in a smart way. And that's what Star Trek is. It's smart. Just because you are disenfranchised in the world around you and you're concerned about the world around you and there's things you don't like about the world around you, you do not have to take those things and seep them into the core of what Star Trek is. Star Trek is about a show of a bunch of diverse people, races, genders, everything, different alien race, everybody coming together to accomplish a mission. That mission is to explore, to learn more about the universe. And in doing so, they can tackle those political concerns that you have in real life. Like I said, you can put them into the show in the way of how they tackle other societies. But if you want to shoehorn how you feel about current day politics into how Starfleet and the Federation functions, it goes to the core of what Star Trek is. Because, as I said, Star Trek is about a bright, positive future. And if you are that upset and disenfranchised with things that are going on, that's fine. All the more reason why we need a fun, good, smart Star Trek show that shows a future where those things don't exist. Don't take the problems of today and then shoehorn them into this universe in that kind of way, because it doesn't work. It breaks Star Trek. It breaks what the universe is. Now, I don't want you guys to get confused. I met Patrick Stewart, believe it or not, and I talked to him for all of maybe 1 minute. We didn't talk about anything heavy. I just think Patrick Stewart's an awesome dude. He's smart and he is entitled to whatever thoughts he has. That's not the issue. The issue is that, as I said, the concerns of the outside world should not seep into the core of what Star Trek is. If you want to tackle those things, you can, but do them in a smart way. Do them in a way in which it's an outside force on the world of Star Trek. Don't change what Star Trek is in order to fit a narrative of things that are going on now. It just doesn't work. You can blatantly tell what is happening, and it's not smart, it's not subtle, it's hammer-fisted and punched into your face. So to be honest, I think most Star Trek fans don't like what Star Trek's happening now. It's just like most franchises now. They're just being ran into the ground because there's a misunderstanding of what they are, what makes them special. And this is no different. And like I said, I was really looking forward to the show. And just because I disagree with Patrick Stewart on his outlook on this does not mean that I think he's a terrible person. You can disagree with what people's specific opinions are and still appreciate their work and still like them as a person. It doesn't matter. But this specific thing, I just disagree with him on wholeheartedly. I understand why he just wanted to come back again. In this article, he covers beyond the fact he wanted it to be different, and that's why he came back. It was because of his portrayal of Professor Xavier in the movie Logan that he had the idea that maybe revisiting Captain Picard's character would be interesting. And I do agree with that. And you can give him challenges. There's all kinds of different ways that you can take the character. Having him deal with Data's death still, making the destruction of Romulus canon and covering that, because he was very heavy into that, at least in the comic, and just aging and not being the captain that he was before. Those are things that you can tackle. I even did a video over a year ago that detailed a couple ways you could bring Captain Picard back and make an interesting show. One that is a character study, which is what Patrick Stewart is great at doing. He is great at just adding layers to characters. He is an amazing actor. You just need to do it in a smart way. And I don't think this is a smart way to do it. I just don't. I fundamentally disagree with the direction that this seems to be taking. Now, the show could be good. I don't know. The show hasn't come out yet. I will be watching it, and I will be reviewing it. So if you are interested in my thoughts as it comes out, just let you know I will be doing reviews of these episodes. I don't know if I'll do an episode-by-episode basis, but I'll probably do at least a first episode review and a series review at a bare minimum. And the reasoning why is because, as I said, I love The Next Generation. It is amazing, and I want to see what they do. But even if it is good, based on what I'm seeing, it seems like it's fundamentally not going to be Star Trek, just like Star Trek Discovery is not fundamentally Star Trek. And you can enjoy Star Trek Discovery. That's fine, but it's not Star Trek. It just isn't. And it's because multiple points that I pointed out in this video, and I could literally do more videos on why that's not Star Trek. And to be honest, Seth MacFarlane's The Orville has more Star Trek than current day Star Trek, because Seth MacFarlane actually went out and hired Next Generation writers, and Seth MacFarlane's a Star Trek fan, so he knows what makes Star Trek Star Trek. We live in a world where the guy who made Family Guy it made a better Star Trek show than Star Trek can make of a Star Trek show. What is this? What world are we living in? So, what do you guys think? I don't know how many of my subscribers are interested in Star Trek, but I really wanted to talk about this one because, as I said, TNG is one of my favorite Star Trek shows. DS9 is an amazing show. I wasn't into it when I was younger, but watching it when I got older, that is such a great show. So I'm a big fan of Star Trek, specifically those two shows. So What did you guys think? What do you guys think about what Patrick Stewart said? What do you think about the direction that this seems to be taking? Comment and let me know. I want to thank you guys for sticking around on this video. Thank you, subscribers, for continually being awesome. I've got a lot of good stuff in the works, including that Blu-ray collection video that I owe you guys because I did get over 50 likes on my physical media video. I didn't think that would happen, and I didn't think I have to do a Blu-ray collection video, but I do. So thank you, subscribers. You guys are awesome. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, share. Yeah, share it because YouTube's not recommending my stuff anymore. Or don't. I'm not a beggar. I'm P264, and I'll always tell you the truth.